The first story in today's episode is called Illusions of Affection, the terrifying truth behind a child's comfort. As a witness to the unsettling events that plagued my sister's life, I feel compelled to share with you the unsettling events that unfolded in my sister's life. I had the unfortunate privilege of experiencing them closely, and I assure you, they were undeniably real. It's perplexing how such occurrences tend to manifest when we are at our most vulnerable, grappling with difficult times. To set the stage, my sister had recently been abandoned by her then boyfriend and the father of her child. His sudden disappearance left us in a state of uncertainty, unaware of his whereabouts or well-being. As the months passed, my sister's salary proved insufficient to sustain their livelihood, forcing them to move to a smaller, more affordable house in a dangerous suburb. Communication with her son's father remained futile, preventing her from seeking any financial support. While I did my best to assist, my own situation living with my parents limited the extent of my help. My young nephew, merely 6 years old, had never encountered such struggles in his short life. Naturally, the absence of his father weighed heavily on him, potentially attracting something more sinister to further torment him. When they first moved into the new house, the boy suffered from severe sleep disturbances. Nighttime became a realm of eerie nightmares, where he would encounter deformed creatures and faceless individuals chasing him down long corridors. Within the boy's restless dreams, he found himself pursued by grotesque creatures with contorted forms, their clawed hands reaching out to grasp him as he frantically raced through never-ending corridors. Each night, the nightmares grew more vivid and terrifying, leaving him sleep-deprived and haunted by the terrors that lurked within the depths of his subconscious. Understandably, my sister sought various medical and psychological interventions, but the boy's condition continued to deteriorate. It became apparent that the source of his anguish stemmed from that very house. Remarkably, during instances when he slept at my parents' house, free from the nightmares, he found solace once again. It appeared that the sinister forces tormenting him were tethered to their new home. As time went on, my nephew's complaints ceased. He no longer spoke of restless nights or nightmares. When prompted, he would simply respond that he had closed his eyes, and, upon opening them, daylight greeted him. The darkness had relinquished its grip on him. My sister and I breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that the worst seemed to be behind us. Little did we know that as the nightmares ceased their assault on the boy's innocent mind, they would soon shift their malevolent focus onto my sister. The darkness, having relinquished its grip on the young boy, now sought to ensnare her in its clutches. One day, as my sister walked into the kitchen, she encountered two strangers sitting at the table, their fingers tapping the surface impatiently. Strangely, they sat with their backs turned, completely oblivious to her presence. Overwhelmed with fear, an inexplicable chill ran through her body, leaving her paralyzed with terror in her own home. She rushed to her son's room, seeking refuge in his innocent embrace. Desperate to calm him, she sang lullabies, providing a sanctuary amidst the chaos. The boy found solace in her presence, and they spent that night together, united against the unknown. The following morning, when my sister cautiously returned to the living room, the mysterious figures had vanished without a trace. Doubts plagued her mind, wondering if it had all been a figment of her imagination, or if the house itself harbored a hidden something, attempting to force her out. The oppressive energy she felt upon entering the house further heightened her unease. However, what transpired next only intensified her fears. Unbeknownst to my sister, her son revealed that every night someone would enter his room, gently caress his head, and lull him to sleep. The boy expressed his gratitude for her presence and comfort during those sleepless nights. Bewildered, my sister listened as he described her actions in detail, even mentioning the sky blue pajamas she wore during these encounters. This revelation sent shivers down her spine, for she had not entered his room on most nights. At best, she would occasionally open the door to check on him from afar while he peacefully slept. The realization that an intruder had invaded their sanctuary left her terrified. Without hesitation, my sister and her son abandoned their haunted abode, seeking refuge with my parents. Clinging to one another, they found solace and security in each other's embrace. Eventually, they vacated the house altogether, never daring to set foot inside again, not even during daylight hours. This unsettling experience left no room for doubt. The house had been infested by malevolent entities or restless spirits. Its dark presence had tainted the lives of my sister and nephew, causing unimaginable distress. In conclusion, this chilling account serves as a harrowing reminder that some places are haunted by lingering souls or entities. The series of unsettling events that afflicted my sister and nephew originated from these mysterious beings that had taken residence in their house. Their lives were consumed by fear and uncertainty until they made the courageous decision to abandon the haunted dwelling. While some may dismiss such encounters as mere imagination or coincidence, the profound impact it had on their lives is undeniable. The scars left behind serve as a haunting reminder that there are forces beyond our understanding, lurking in the shadows, ready to disrupt our sense of safety and peace. The second story in today's episode is called Whispers from the Abyss, Amelia's Chilling Testimony. There is something mysterious and intriguing about stories that challenge our understanding of the world around us, and that's exactly what we're bringing you today, dear friends. A chilling tale that will make your spine run cold and your hair stand on end. Get ready for a journey of suspense and mystery as Amelia's story leads us down a path full of dark secrets and inexplicable encounters. Amelia was an independent and determined woman, used to facing life alone in her modest city apartment. Her daily life was full of routine, working during the day and minding her own business at night, occasionally relaxing with a movie or a book before bed. However, everything changed when unexplained events began to happen that shook his sense of security. The strange occurrences were subtle. Objects moved around without explanation. Her car keys were never in the same place. Light bulbs burned intermittently, and she heard strange noises in the walls of her apartment. Of course, she thought the noises were coming from the neighbors. Amelia tried to ignore these signs, thinking it was her tiredness or her own imagination. However, the feeling that something was wrong came when she discovered some purple, hand-shaped marks on her leg. You could make out the marks of someone's fingers on her thigh. The chill that ran down her spine at that moment was enough to make her heart beat wildly. She realized that something sinister was happening in her apartment. At that moment, Amelia knelt beside the bed and cried out for divine help. With her hands clasped together and her eyes closed, she addressed her prayers to God, seeking strength to face the challenges that awaited her. Her words were full of sincerity and fervor as she placed her faith in the hope that she would find a way out of this distressing situation. Kneeling beside the bed, her prayers seemed to echo in an endless void, without any sign of an answer or consolation. Her tired eyes reflected the pain and anguish that weighed on her shoulders as she struggled to find a glimmer of hope. Desperate for answers, Amelia turned to a friend for help, but her concerns were met with skepticism and disbelief. To this friend, the strange events seemed to be just a figment of Amelia's imagination, perhaps the result of stress or lack of sleep. This friend even took the time to visit her apartment to investigate, but found nothing, a normal, quiet environment. This lack of support only increased Amelia's sense of isolation and helplessness. She found herself increasingly alone in her fight against the unknown. The discovery of the hand-shaped marks on her leg was only the first sign that something much darker was unfolding around her. As Amelia tried to rationalize what was happening to her life, a sense of paranoia began to creep into her mind, leaving her uneasy and confused. The whisper-like noises seemed to come from within the walls of her apartment, yet even in the face of overwhelming fear, Amelia didn't back down. Armed with courage and determination, she refused to fall victim to the supernatural forces that were tormenting her. Each challenge was a test of her resilience, a demonstration of her determination to uncover who was doing this to her. In the end, Amelia discovered that true courage lies in the ability to face the unknown, even when all seems lost. With her heart pounding wildly, Amelia decided to find out where these whispers and voices were coming from, which she heard and which terrified her every night. She went to her bed, covered herself with a blanket, and pretended to be asleep until she heard some noise, so she could look for the direction it was coming from. Ignoring her instincts, her legs trembling, sweat dripping down her forehead, she made her way down the dark corridor, guided only by the sound of voices echoing off the walls. Every step was a battle against the fear that threatened to paralyze her, but she refused to give in to the terror that enveloped her. Turning the door handle of the neighboring apartment, as the door creaked open, a putrid stench assaulted Amelia's senses, causing bile to rise in her throat. The dim light struggled to pierce the thick air, revealing a haunting tableau before her eyes. Two rotting corpses lay in a state of decay, their contorted forms a grotesque sight that seared into Amelia's mind. She recoiled in horror, a mixture of fear and revulsion gripping her very being. She instinctively recoiled at the gruesome sight, her stomach churning with revulsion at the disturbing scene before her eyes. The purple marks on her leg throbbed, as if alerting her to something. Amelia felt a shiver run down her spine as she realized the gravity of what she had discovered. So, after finding the bodies, poor Amelia was very shaken, but she knew she had to be brave. She immediately contacted the police. The sound of sirens pierced the silence as the police descended upon the building, their presence bringing a comforting sense of security to Amelia's shattered nerves. Finally, she could breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that help had arrived. The officers occupied the entire building within minutes. Amelia just wanted to rest. After a detailed investigation, it turned out to be a couple who had been missing for months. The exact circumstances of their deaths remained a mystery, but evidence suggested that they had been the victims of a brutal crime. Amelia did what any sensible person would do and moved to another apartment, and according to her, she never heard whispers or voices again. Though the memories of that haunting experience lingered in her mind, Amelia found solace in the newfound strength she had discovered within herself. Each moment of happiness and tranquility held a deeper appreciation, a reminder of her ability to face any adversity that dared to cross her path. With a renewed sense of resilience, she embarked on a new chapter, leaving the shadows of the past behind.